Most people think MCU magic is Doctor Strange doing hand tricks and Loki running cons. That's the surface. Underneath it, there are 12 completely different systems, each with different rules, different costs, and different ceilings. One of them has no ceiling at all. The woman who wielded it was also the only person in the entire multiverse who could stop herself. And one system is still broadcasting a signal right now to something nobody in the MCU has been able to identify. Let's get into it. The mystic arts. You've seen the golden mandalas. You've seen the sling ring portals. What you're actually looking at is a dimensional operating system. One Agamotto, the first Sorcerer Supreme, spent centuries building. It draws ambient energy from surrounding dimensions. Trained practitioners open portals, fold reality inside the mirror dimension, project consciousness out of the body, and construct physical weapons from dimensional force. Picture this. Strange and Caecilius fight inside the mirror dimension, New York folding and inverting in geometric pieces around them. Strange uses the dimension itself as a trap and locks Caecilius inside it. The cost? The entire system has a crack at its foundation. Strange didn't find it until he watched the Ancient One die on a hospital rooftop. Wong is Sorcerer Supreme. All three sanctums are standing. And the system he inherited had a secret it never advertised, because the woman who built it was running on something forbidden. Dark dimension energy. The Ancient One constructed the greatest magical defense network on Earth. 3 sanctums, centuries of trained sorcerers, a planetary shield against Dormammu. She powered all of it with Dormammu's own energy. She drew from the dark dimension in secret for centuries, extending her life, amplifying her power beyond any conventional sorcerer's reach. Nobody knew, not Mordo, not Wong, not Strange, until he caught her dying and saw it in her aura. Her exact words, guilty, hypocrite, and she'd do it again. The cost was absolute. When Caecilius shattered her physical form, he severed the link that had kept her alive across centuries. The dark dimension is still there. Nobody has touched it since. Asgard had its own version of magic, one that runs not on forbidden energy, but on something far more personal. Asgardian Seiðr. Frigga built this. Loki inherited it. The core ability is illusion, not visual tricks, but full multi-sensory deception, so complete that Malekith attacked a copy of Jane Foster and never knew. The ceiling of what Seiðr can do? A variant called Classic Loki once projected an entire illusory Asgard, full city, full scale, to distract an entity that devours branch timelines. The cost is physical contact. Touch the caster and the illusion collapses. Frigga is gone. The primary timeline, Loki died at Thanos' hands. No resurrection. A Loki variant now anchors the TVA. Seiðr projects outward. One variant took the same foundation and built something that goes inward instead. Sylvie's enchantment. Loki had Frigga. He had centuries of formal Asgardian training. Sylvie had nothing, no Asgard, no teachers, no sacred timeline, and built something he never could. Where Loki projects outward, Sylvie goes inward. She takes over a living host completely. The host has no awareness it happened. She's done it to hunters. She's done it to the recently dead. And then she reached into Alioth, an entity that devours entire branch timelines, and planted a feeling instead of a command. It worked. The cost is will. Strong enough resistance breaks the possession. She's alive. He who remains is not. Asgardian magic writes the rules through illusion. Rune magic encodes the rules directly into matter, permanently. Rune magic. Odin didn't just build a hammer, he encoded a moral filter into the metal itself. The worthiness enchantment cannot be overridden by strength, by magic, or by physical destruction. Hela shattered Mjolnir with her bare hand. The enchantment survived the object. In 2022, Jane Foster called the fragments across a room, and they reassembled around her hand, because Odin's instructions still lived inside every broken piece. The cost runs deeper than the weapon. Hela's imprisonment was bound to Odin's existence. When he died on that cliff in Norway, she walked straight through the door. Stormbreaker is with Thor. Mjolnir's fragments remain. Before we get to what chaos magic can do, you need to understand what first switched it on. The Mind Stone. This isn't a weapon, it's a consciousness system, and it's been rewriting people since before anyone understood what it was. In 2015, Hydra used it to run experiments at Sokovia. The stone didn't give Wanda her power. It reached into her neurology, found something already there, and unlocked it. Then it went further. It built vision, an entirely new form of consciousness, running on synthetic tissue and cosmic energy with genuine emotional experience. That consciousness is still propagating. Billy Maximoff, Wanda's created son, is manifesting abilities in 2024 with zero formal training that took Wanda years to reach. The cost is irreversibility. You cannot unexpose someone to the Mind Stone. Every effect it created is still in motion. The stone itself was destroyed by Thanos. What it started cannot be stopped. Now you understand what chaos magic was built on. Here's what it did with that foundation. Chaos magic. You want to understand the hierarchy of MCU power? Watch what happens when Wanda walks into the Illuminati's chamber on Earth 838. She seals Black Bolt's mouth. He destroys himself from the inside. She tears Reed Richards apart molecule by molecule while he tries to reason with her. She crushes Captain Marvel under a collapsing statue. She enters the 838 Wanda's mindscape and kills Professor X within it. She bisects Captain Carter with her own reflected shield. 5 defenders. Minutes. 5 different methods, each one adapted instinctively to the specific opponent. The one thing separating chaos magic from every other system on this list, it can create something from nothing. No other MCU magic can do that. The Darkhold amplified it. Wanda collapsed Wundagore Mountain and destroyed every copy. Her fate is unconfirmed. No body was recovered. Agatha Harkness has known about chaos magic longer than almost anyone, because she's been surviving on stolen power since the 1690s. Agatha's witchcraft. Her Salem coven condemned her for draining their power without consent. She killed all of them instead. Then she kept going, accumulating stolen witch power across 3 centuries. Her signature ability is absorption. She pulls magical energy directly out of other practitioners. Her purple energy signature is distinctive, though the MCU frames it more as her personal mark than a formal color-coded system. What's clear is that her power base is built on accumulation, not inheritance. Wanda stripped it all at the end of WandaVision. Agatha assembled a new coven and walked into the Witch's Road, a gauntlet of lethal trials designed to restore lost power to those who survive it. The Witch's Road is not designed to be fair. Wakanda's system looks nothing like witchcraft, but the cultural and spiritual weight behind it runs just as deep. Wakandan Ancestral Magic. The heart-shaped herb is a vibranium-mutated plant that grants superhuman physical ability and opens a door to the Ancestral Plane, where every previous Black Panther waits. Here's what that plane actually does. It doesn't show you the ancestor you want. It shows you the one you've become. Shuri synthesized the herb and crossed over grieving for T'Challa. She was looking for her brother. Killmonger was standing there instead. That's not a glitch in the system. That's the system working exactly as designed. It doesn't comfort you, it confronts you. Shuri walked in as a scientist who had spent her whole life rejecting the supernatural. She walked out carrying something she couldn't explain to a lab, and a choice about who she was going to be. Killmonger burned the original supply. Shuri carries the mantle now. Egypt runs a completely different model. The gods don't grant power and step back. They stay in the arrangement. Ennead Divine Power. Khonshu didn't ask Mark Spector if he wanted the job. He picked up a man who was already dead and put a suit on him. The Ennead gods, Khonshu, Ammit, Taweret, and others, each operate through a chosen human avatar because they cannot act directly on Earth. The avatar carries out the work. The god retains authority throughout. When Khonshu illegally rewound the night sky to provide navigation data, the full Ennead tribunal convened and imprisoned him in a statue on the spot. Mid-mission. Mark lost every power instantly. The power is real, but it is rented, not owned. Khonshu is free. Jake Lockley is active. Amit is sealed. The 10 rings don't fit any category the MCU has established, and they're not staying quiet about it. Ta Lo and the 10 rings. Xu Wenwu wore the 10 rings for over 1,000 years. When he died and Shang-Chi inherited them, they started broadcasting a signal. Wong studied them, couldn't classify them magically. Bruce Banner studied them, couldn't classify them scientifically. Carol Danvers appeared via hologram, having traversed the galaxy and encountered dozens of alien civilizations, and confirmed she had never encountered anything like them in deep space. The Ta Lo tradition of Jing, weaponizing soul energy, was what actually defeated the Dweller in Darkness. 1,000 years of accumulated ring power wasn't enough on its own. The signal is still transmitting. Something out there received it. Here's something most people miss about how these systems connect. Every magic system on this list has an enforcement mechanism built in. The mystic arts has its ethical code. Rune magic was bound to Odin's life. The Ennead strips a god mid-mission. The Darkhold corrupts because it was designed to corrupt. Chaos magic has none of that. No governing body, no ceiling, no cost that stops the wielder. And the Mind Stone has already passed it to a second generation. Billy Maximoff is reshaping reality in Agatha All Along with zero training, doing things in 2024 that Wanda spent years learning to control. He didn't study. He didn't unlock anything. It's just there. The real question nobody's asking yet, every Avengers-level threat in MCU history came with a warning sign the heroes missed. What's the warning sign here? Or is Billy the next line of defense? Of everything on this list, the Ancestral Plane stays with you, because it doesn't show you what you want, it shows you what you are. One system on this list has a successor who's never been trained and can already do things Wanda took years to reach. Is that the next Avengers-level threat, or the next Avengers? Put your answer below. Subscribe if you want the next one. We're breaking down MCU power tiers next. Stay curious.